in this second clip, Marianne Williamson talks about reparations, and she has done this once before, and we talked about it in her interview with CNN. But she goes into a little bit more depth in this clip.
Dr. King used to say, yeah, we were freed, but what were we freed to? Economic reconciliation. You had about 4 million slaves that were freed at the end of the Civil War. Some people say 4, some people say 5, somewhere probably between 4 and 5 million people who were not given the opportunity to reintegrate economically. So at first they didn't have political power, and then that was addressed with the Civil Rights Movement. They couldn't even vote. That was addressed with the Civil Rights Act. There was full-on segregation. They couldn't sit at the lunch counter. They couldn't be in the front of the bus, all those things we know. Many of those issues have been addressed, but that economic piece never was. And to this day, former descendants of slaves, still, if you're a genius, no matter who you are, and this is not nothing, you can make it in America. So let's say if you're Black, you're Tyler Perry or an Oprah Winfrey or Michael Jordan. Definitely, things have improved in the sense that no matter who you are in America, if you're a genius, you can break out. But that's not justice, to say you have to be a genius and you can make it. Justice is when everyone has an equal opportunity. So I think we should pay reparations for slavery. We should have a plan of reparations for slavery, just as Germany has paid $89 billion to Jewish organizations since World War II, which has been a large part of the reconciliation between Germany and the Jews of Germany and the rest of Europe. And in 1988, President Reagan signed an American Civil Liberties Act, where the people who had been interned, I think it was 200,000 people have been interned. Would you look that up, Wendy? I think it was 200,000 people, how many were interned in the Japanese internment camps. Each surviving member of the camps was given either $20,000 or $22,000. I think, in the transformational community, there's a lot of talk about small random acts of kindness. America needs to do some huge strategized acts of doing the right thing. And that's why I think the conversation about reparations, it's back on, or I hope this campaign puts it back. There are people like Ta-Nehisi Coates and Sandy Darity. A lot of people, very smart people, have been doing a lot of work on this conversation.
So, again, we have talked about the subject of reparations before, and it could be a touchy subject because there's not a lot of people talking about it. There's not a lot of people that I guess are bold enough or believe in it to actually make a case for it. She went to the right place and advocating for it. Economics, okay? A lot of the other things have been addressed. Jim Crow laws are no more anymore. Segregation is still here, but something was done. You could say that. Like I said, a lot of things were addressed, but the economics part was never addressed. And so, look, I don't want to act like even when like I was growing up, I felt like there was a ceiling above me and that I could never, go past. I don't want to act like that because I never felt like that. I felt like, hey, I'm able-bodied, I'm, intelligent, young man, I can get as far as I want to go. And I would want anybody that's Black in this country to feel the exact same way. But if we look at things very generally, we know that in many segments around this country, many communities in this country, for a lot of people, that's absolutely not possible. She talked about geniuses, like, people like that are at the top of their fields, people that, are very knowledgeable.
Oprah, she mentioned like athletes.
Or you have some kind
entertainers, you have some sort of
extraordinary type of talent like Michael Jordan. You could always push forward if you have that type of talent, whether it be, intellectual or if it's physical. But for the majority of us are pretty much all in the same box, and we're all trying to have equal opportunity to achieve bigger and better things. Again, that's not the case in a lot of communities because of what happened back in the day, what happened after slavery, hoods, ghettos,
redlining, Jim Crow.
These areas were constructed and they still remain in place today. And that means that there are many people being left behind and they can't get ahead. That is the thing that must be overcome.
Here's the thing, about any kind of pathway to equity as far as all groups or a specific group, like, what is the main thing that those who, like, I guess, are the loudest and the most rah-rah patriots talk about the United States? Like, what's the main thing they focus on? They focus on the economic freedom, right? We're the richest country in the world.
Right.
Basically, the free markets are kind of what make us great. So if that's the case, then if there was a particular group that has been disenfranchised the most, that you're trying to kind of assimilate into this economic freedom,
this American dream,
why would kind of economic initiatives not center on that group? And, you know, I'm glad you mentioned your experience and kind of talking about it in a way that, I don't know, is a typical experience, same experience I had, and the same mindset I had, but still acknowledging that there are millions and millions of people who look like you and who don't look like you, but specifically we're talking about black people, that do not come up with that mindset and do not come up with that experience based on kind of their environment and where they live. And I think it's a disservice to reality to expect people who live in certain conditions to have that, like, that mindset,
that go-getter mentality. I can do anything.
And there are some people that definitely come out of that. And they come out of that because they are extraordinary, even if they don't have, like, some sort of extreme talent, like a Michael Jordan or like Oprah, or like, you know, like a rapper.
Right.
They are in a situation where the probability of them coming out is very low. And all we're trying to do is address that probability. And that probability shouldn't be that low. I don't think people understand what happens to people's minds when they're in certain circumstances. Like, people don't make good decisions, and people become disillusioned when they're in despair or in desperate situations. And that's what a lot of people find themselves in. And you can't expect people to somehow have this, like, I don't know, balloons and candy and gumdrops and, you know,
this optimistic view what could be.
Yeah, if they're in a desperate situation or in a desperate environment, you know what I'm saying? I think I asked you this yesterday, man. Like, do you think people are ready for her? You know what I'm saying? Not just her, but how, you know, she delivers her message. Not just the substance of it, but do you think people are ready for, you know, somebody like her that kind of deals with things on kind of a policy level and a kind of an internal conscious level? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what she's trying to speak to. She's kind of trying to tackle both monsters here, like trying to tie the particular type of conscience we have in the United States with the kind of politics that manifest from that.
Man, I could go different ways with the answer to that question, man. I initially or instinctively, I would be like, man, I really doubt it if people are actually ready for it. Because really what she is getting or trying to get people to do is take a look at themselves. And by extension, the nation taking a look at itself. But at first it starts with you, just you. All right. So we all have to do that. We all have to realize what part we play in what the United States of America is and what part we must play going forward to improve the conditions. I don't know if people are ready for that. I just really don't know. I don't know, man. I saw, because we did cover her before when, after she had that CNN appearance, and responding to a comment that was on YouTube about her experience. You know, somebody was saying that they weren't going to consider her because they essentially have the same mandate that they had with Trump. You know, if you don't have political experience, if you've never been elected, then they're not going to consider her. And I was just saying to them that, look, with Trump, we never ever criticize him because he never had any political experience. He's never been elected. I could care less if one has been elected, because this isn't the same case as like some kind of technical field. Like if you're a doctor, you definitely don't want somebody that is inexperienced, that has never been to medical school and graduated from it, to perform some type of procedure on you. You don't want that whatsoever. But when you're talking about a political leader, you want that political leader to first engage in the truth. You want that political leader to not be corrupted. You want that political leader to actually be the representative of people, not big business, not corporations. Like, there are many things that I would consider well before I would take a look at a candidate's past, and specifically if they have been elected or not. That's not something that I'm interested in. Again, I need to see that first, that you have some integrity, that I feel that you're honest, and that you have a clear plan of action to actually progress things forward. If you have those things and I am supportive of your mission, then yeah, it's a good chance that I can back you. There's a good chance that I can support you. But political service, we've had some of the,
why does that not matter to you, Will? Why does it not matter that someone doesn't have experience? Like, what does that mean to you?
Because going back into time, and actually, I mean, if you look at current days right now, we have some of the, quote, brilliant political minds of our time. You know, in 2016, Hillary Clinton was billed as the most qualified candidate for president ever. But surely if she was going to become the next president, corruption would have followed her in as well. We have a corrupt president in there right now that had no political experience. But when you're talking about people that do have political experience, we have been led, this country has been led to the most catastrophic decisions that you can think of. Wealth inequality, foreign military blunders, you can think of whatever. And these sound political minds have driven us off the cliff. So where did their experience come into play in making things better? Where did their experience come into play into making this nation a successful one? So why should I care about if you have been elected or not?
I think that's what...
It's not a technical field.
I think that's what kind of sold people on Trump. And that's all they looked at, unfortunately. So I think that's what Trump's selling point was. That since these experienced politicians have kind of failed to deliver, I guess, a meaningful agenda for the people, these politicians, have kind of created this bureaucracy that doesn't seem to go anywhere. So that means I'm good. That automatically means I'm good.
The message was right.
The message was right.
But he was not truthful about himself.
No, because that's kind of an obvious outlook. That's an obvious outlook. Like, anybody can look at our political system objectively and see that's the case. So it doesn't really take a genius to do that. And that's what Trump did. He kind of played on that sentiment.
Exactly. And he fooled people.
Yeah, he definitely fooled people.